NBA Nation? Gabe.
Nick, and look at that hat. Look at the hat my man has. Ooh, looks good.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? We are here today for another installment of R3 Wickets. Oh, you know what though? I love it right there, Nick. And we just recently did our review for the movie 83. And at the very end, when that last wicket falls, that was the longest.
That was cool.
It reminded me of Nick. It built it up. But it was everybody else was like, ah! Everybody's the whole crowd's got the finger up, and the umpire says he pulled the Nick. He was like, just super dramatic.
That's awesome. Where the director messed up, man, because he goes, out. No. All you got to do is just so slow. Like, that would have been even better.
That was awesome, bro. But it reminded me just that when you gave us the small 3 wickets, like, oh, that dramatic effect. I love it. And, we're talking about 83 because we just recently watched and reviewed it. And we're talking about another big game in cricket. And we're talking about the Ashes, okay? Australia versus England.
Is it big?
Oh, daddy.
It means nothing right now. It's one-sided. It's like varsity versus junior. They might even be junior varsity. Oh, my goodness gracious. It's a laughing stock now. It's unbelievable.
You know what's crazy? So much goes behind, and so much effort and so much importance goes behind the Ashes. And remember, the Ashes originally started when Australia went into England, beat England at home, and the reporters lost their minds because they said that was the day cricket died in England, right? Everybody lost their mind.
Bro, obviously, it's still dead.
Yeah, bro, it's bad right now. We're going to talk about that. But it is bad right now. Guys, Australia fans, Australia retained the Ashes in the first 3 games, all right? 3-0 sweep. They've already retained the Ashes. I mean,
we won the Ashes, not just retained it. They won it.
Nick, they were just talking about it. Like, listen, should Australia even send some more players out there? Because, I mean, they've already retained the Ashes. So
yeah. It's going to be 5-0.
Yes, because they want to give them that hootie. They want to beat them 5-0 and embarrass England. And it is all bad. Bro, it's so bad. Australia won by an innings, Nick. They won by an innings. All right, England won even. Really? Oh, my gosh. Nick, where do you want to start? This game is ridiculous. I mean, this is going to be probably one of the fastest R3 wickets ever, guys, because there's not a lot to say. I can't even complain about the Australia side. There's some positives, but on the England side, oh, my gosh. I mean, what do you do?
Let me start with what I like, because it's pretty easy. Okay, it's very easy for what I like. I like 2 players, and surprise, it's the same players every single time, because that's the problem in England right now. You got Jimmy with his 4 wickets. This guy knows how to bowl.
Jimmy.
And I'm going to complain a little bit about the rest that England does with their players, but I really can't argue with the results for Jimmy Anderson. So you keep resting that man. This guy is unbelievable. Even when the rest of the team doesn't want to play cricket, even when the rest of the team has, I almost get the joke. You don't know the film 83. I almost said they have STDs, but that means acidity, acid reflux. It was just an inside joke. My bad. But even though the rest of the team, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. Jimmy shows up and Joe Root shows up. He got his half century in a game where they lose by an innings, for crying out loud. In a game where they get 68 all out or some nonsense, whatever it was. He shows up. He also got the high score in the second innings in that debacle of the second innings. Those 2 things I really liked, because these guys are fighting. These guys understand the situation. Joe Root himself was quoted by saying, "We got blown away," which when you hear an athlete say blown away, you can say like the other team was a better team this time. They showed up. We got blown away. We got dismantled. And these guys were fighting like soldiers. I did like seeing it. That's all I liked, Gabe. That was it.
Nick, I can't even disagree with you. Joe Root, unfortunately, this was his last chance, because he could have broken the all-time record or at least gone to 2. He's going to fall just 2 runs short of Viv Richards, I believe it is, in the most runs scored in a season. He's got 1708. I think Viv Richards, had 1710. But he could have broke the record if he had some help, Nick. It's so frustrating for Joe Root. And, I mean, what can you do? Joe Root, he's class, and we were wrong initially when we talked about him not belonging in the Fab Four. Yes, he does. Joe Root belongs in the Fab Four as far as the fabulous captains of Test cricket. And our hats, I tip my hat. And Jimmy Anderson, Nick, he should have had 5. Actually, he could have had 6 wickets, because that's something else we're going to talk about when we'll talk about what we hated as far as England, the drops. Like, come on, just show up. It's like, you're right. The rest of the team didn't even want to show up, right? Jimmy should have had a 5-fer, man. Come on. It's just so frustrated. But Jimmy Anderson goes out there. He actually gave them chance. He gave them life. And once again, it was squandered, right? What did I hate on the Australia side? Nick, there wasn't really too much to hate, all right? There really wasn't. And not just because they won, but because it can't be the same guy over and over again. Now, I think we started seeing the pressure in the first 2 games that David Warner was chasing that century, right? David Warner, right, bro? First he was 90, then he was 93. It's like he's chasing runs now. And he got himself out. He did get himself out. And now you see that and you're like, oh, gosh, what's going to happen? And then Australia, wickets are falling. And finally, it's the guy who I was complaining about. I was wrong. I was wrong. Marnus Lovashant fell. David Warner fell. You know who was the high scorer for Australia this time? Marcus Harris.
Marcus Harris, baby.
I was wrong. Harris earns his spot. I was hoping he would do well, Nick. I was.
And he outlasted. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, absolutely. Because once I get it. I want Uzi in there, but he's not. And if he's not, whoever's in there has got to perform, and he did, so good for him. So there's not too much not to like other than to say, man, I think David Warner's pressing a little bit. I believe he got himself out, and like, I don't want that mentality going. I know he's chasing that century. Listen, you're the best there is, the best there was, the best there's ever been as far as, you know, an opener for Australia on all 3. Bro, on all 3 teams, look at David Warner's numbers. White ball and red ball, David Warner's a savage, bro. I think there's only 2 or 3 other guys currently. Rohit Sharma, who's a monster in all 3 formats, and Kane Williamson. But name another guy across all 3 formats that does what a David Warner does. He's a savage. And it's like, bro, take it easy. Take it easy. Lucky that the rest of his team was able to pick him up, but I think he threw away his wicket. I did not like that. But other than that, how do I complain about anything? Bro, they won by an innings. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, bro.
I can't imagine it's not going to be a whitewash. And you guys, Gabe knows how much I hate saying anyone's going to whitewash anyone. It would be like the biggest upset if there wasn't a whitewash, right, in my opinion. What did I dislike? Oh my goodness gracious. All right. First of all, England. Oh, the Barmy Army is going to hate me so much. England does not care at all about this series. It's evident. It's absolutely evident. They did not prepare the right players to get ready for this side. They did not rest the right players at the right times. They're more concerned about the 100. They're more concerned about the IPL. They're more concerned about everything else. Oh, it's like the person doesn't schedule their time right. You want us to do this? You want us to do that? What about sleeping and eating to keep you healthy, for crying out loud? This country just does not care about Test, and it does not care about helping out Joe Root. It does not care about helping out Jimmy Anderson. It does not care about the Ashes. They literally just gave it away. When I saw the guys that they were sitting out, that got sacked, so to speak, got dropped for this 3rd match, I knew it, and I mentioned it in an Instagram message with someone, and they agree with me. Oh, they've completely given up. They're not even trying anymore. They're not even, no Stuart Broad, no Chris Wokes. And I understand Chris Wokes has not been the guy that I love uncontrollably in this Ashes series, but he's going to give you a chance. And once again, I mean, we're going to find out. It's like a Kobe and Shaq situation with Stuart Broad and Jimmy Anderson. And that's the real reason why they don't ever play at the same time, for crying out loud. I don't understand what they're doing. I understand dropping Rory Burns, but okay, Zach Crawley, thanks a lot for your 17 runs or whatever it was. Hamid, this guy is not an opener. This guy is not a Test player. He's great in England. You keep it in England. If you're going to keep Chris Wokes there, why not keep this guy there? Because this guy cannot. He better not open at all. He better come in at any number, at number 8 or something like that. He better be with the tail end, for crying out loud, because this guy cannot get it done. I'm not trying to kill the guy. I'm really not. I'm not trying to crush him. And it shows that England was not prepared whatsoever. DeWitt Milan had a great first couple of matches. He wasn't really able to show up today or in this 3rd match. He got a golden duck in the 2nd innings, for crying out loud, when everyone was falling. Jack Leach, I don't know why the guy's there. I don't know. maybe he's great at like fixing pianos or something, or rearranging the furniture. I'm not exactly sure.
They got to bring a spinner, bro. Who else is there? Don Best. I mean, it's just bad.
Listen, there's some 19-year-old kid in one of the county. I mean, honestly, you can put all the spinners you have in English county cricket, all the domestic leagues. You can put their name in a hat. You pull out one. Kid, you're going. And he's probably going to have a great day, for crying out loud. Ben Stokes is still trying to become Ben Stokes. He's not there yet. I'm sorry. Showed a little bit of life in the first innings. They got completely and Bairstow. I mean, come on. It's like the Roger Dorn in Major League 2, right? When the owner's going around trying to intimidate people and trying to get under their skin. She sees Roger Dorn and she just laughs and keeps going because there's no point in mentioning it, for crying out loud. Bairstow, sorry, go audition for the next Harry Potter film or something. That's your best chance you're going to have at some screen time. But it's just absolutely embarrassing. And I love the fact that Jaffer's on there on Instagram or Twitter, I should say, trolling Michael Vaughn. Michael Vaughn's like, when Indy went out 92 all out, oh, no one should go down for under 100 runs in a test series these days. 68 all out, baby. Come on. And I'm an England fan, for crying out loud. It is just absolutely embarrassing. You had your tail and Mark Wood, Ollie Robinson both got ducks. Yeah, that was a good choice. They got overpowered by Australia bowlers. And I don't know anything about Boland. I know nothing about him. I'm sure he's the next up-and-coming guy. I'm sure he's the best thing since sliced bread. But this guy got 6 wickets in that second inning. It doesn't matter who they throw out there. They are dominant in Australian pitches, and that is the story here. They breed their bowlers. They prepare them for their pitches, and when you come to Australia, not on our watch. What an answer this is for that India debacle that they had at the Gabba and that tour in Australia. They said, I don't care what's going on. What an amazing correction here. Bowling? This guy can bowl, and he could probably do like the trapeze or something right now. They can do whatever they want. They pulled a name out of the hat. It worked out for them. So England, it's an atrocity. It's an embarrassment. You just use COVID if you need to. Go back to jolly old England. Kiss up, rest up those wounds. Forfeit the last 2 matches. There's no point. Australia, you are the better team in the Ashes. You're going to be the better team in the Ashes until England gets their stuff figured out. And I'm saying this as a fan. I want England cricket to be better because right now they're getting smacked around twice and they're asking for more, for crying out loud.
You know, Nick, really quickly, there's a cricket combos that I want to have talking about what's gone on with England batting. Okay, what's going on with this England team, period. And you kind of hit the nail on the head already. They don't care. They don't care. They're not focused on tests. And I don't want to talk about that one too much, but think about this, right? Australia doesn't send their best when it comes to T20, when it comes to the, think about this. In the World Cup, for the T20 World Cup, that was the first time they had thrown a Paddy Cummings, a Mitchell Starc, all their top guns.
And what happened?
They don't do it. They don't do it. And they win one. And they take the cup, right? Why? Because they are focused on the Ashes. They are focused on tests. That's what matters to them. Where England is the other way around. And we'll talk about that in the cricket combos. But you hit the nail on the head. And it's sad for guys like Jimmy Anderson that are trying to make history. I mean, he's already a legend in and of himself. Absolutely. Joe Root had the opportunity to score the most runs ever, okay? He was literally 2 runs away from tying and 3 from overtaking second, and I think maybe 50 total, Nick, from taking the first time. That's just so upsetting that that's what happened to Joe Root. And it's like, guys, he deserves better, okay? I don't want to beat up on Joe Root because he deserves better. With that being said, I want to talk about what I did like. Bowling. You know who Bowling is? He's an MCG product, okay? He's a Melbourne product, all right? This guy, this is his home ground. This is his home ground, Nick. And they said, oh, yeah, he's a Melbourne assassin, all right? So kind of like, by the way, your boy Jack Leach is really good at home. He's really good in Melbourne. The question is going to be, if they take him for the next tour, because of course Hazelwood is still injured, you know, Mitchell Starc seems like he's always got a niggle. So if somebody is hurt, will they put him in there? I want to see it. I want to see, because a 6-wicket haul is, even if this is your home ground, it's hard to do. So there might be something there. He may be more than just a Melbourne product, all right? But he did his job. He did his job. The bowling did their job. Patty Cummings, the best a man could be, taking wickets. As a captain now, the guy is 2-0, all right? 2-0. He missed the second one due to COVID. But the guy is 2-0 in the Ashes, retained the Ashes. I mean, Patty Cummings is one of the best bowlers in the world, all right? His wobble ball is ridiculous, bro. It's unhittable. The guy comes with pace. He's smart. He puts the bowlers in a great position. But that's not what I want to gush about, Nick. Why? Because that's what's supposed to happen. You've got Australia's pace at home. That's what's supposed to happen. I want to talk about Marcus Harris, a guy who had came in with literally 10 test matches to his name. There's a lot of controversy because, he doesn't belong up there. It should be. And, for a fact I love me some Usman, okay? It should be collage, but they don't put him in there. And he does what I didn't think he could do. And that's when this was the very first time, because of Jimmy Anderson's performance, Nick, that England had any life at all after that first innings. Because in the first innings, okay, England did a good job of restricting Australia to a relatively decent score, 267. You figure they got bowled out for under 100 in that second innings. England did. All right. Why? Because Jimmy Anderson went out there and took wickets. And you know who was the last of the Mohicans, Nick? You know who was the highest scorer for Australia? It was the guy that I didn't believe in. The guy that many guys didn't believe in, Marcus Harris, with his, I think he averaged 25 or 27. And if this is the guy, he's going to be opening. No, he did his job. When David Warner fell and gave away his wicket, he did his job. So I really want to go ahead and take my hat off to him and say, this is how you keep your spot on the team, young fella, because there's guys that are coming. All right. Forget about Uzi. He's 37, 38 years old. Most guys retired at 39. He's probably, but there's a guy named Pekulski who's coming. There's other guys that are going to be coming and biting at your heels. So you've got to produce, because this Australian team is stacked. They're not India, where every single position in India, they could field 2 teams for the love of Pete. You know what I'm saying? So you're not in that kind of danger, but you're still not out of the woods. So I am rooting now for Marcus Harris to continue to put this up. And just like Travis Head did earlier and showed he belonged with that huge score, what did he have? Like 140, I think it was, or something like that in that second inning. He helped in a huge series when everybody else fell. The veterans like David Warner fell. He was able to go out there, put up, 76 or something like that, Nick? And I'm going to take off my hat because I did not expect that. I think the only question for me is now, market, they're already talking about it. Should they start resting guys because this series is won, Nick? And we'll talk about that and maybe towards the end. But I get it. You want to whitewash England, right? But Mitchell Stark is always hurt. All right. We already walked in with a hurt Hazelwood. Okay. So it's one. Do you maybe say, let's just take the foot off the gas and let's put ourselves in a position where we've already retained the Ashes and we can win our next test series thinking ahead?
Sorry, I muted myself. No, absolutely not. Because I, as a person that's not necessarily rooting for Australia, even though I do like Australia and I like their squad, I would be upset if you didn't give me your best, right? What's the thing that Rocky asks Apollo at the beginning of Rocky 2, after the big fight with Apollo Creed? He goes into his room and he asks him one question. Hey, Apollo, did you give me your best? Yeah, I gave you my best. You want to have the best, because if you win or lose, you want to know the other team was giving their best, because you were, I'm assuming, giving their best. What Australia can do is they can bring in some young blood, bring in some younger guys, some guys that haven't got a lot of chance. Bring in a Matthew Wade, bring in a Usman, whatever you got. If you want to rest some guys, that's fine. Bring in some other guys and let them fight for the future. And I think it's really going to be telling what JL, what the selection committee does, what Australia cricket does in these next 2 matches, because you still want to whitewash. You want to take it to England. And I would want you to, as a cricket fan, give me your best, for crying out loud. What did I learn? And you're going to love it. It made me smile a few minutes ago when you were talking, when I was thinking about it. What do you do with JL now, baby? Because JL, he's asking one question, Gabe, and he's asking one question, dude. His question is, how do you like me now? I won you a World Cup. We have won the Ashes, probably going to whitewash it in our sleep, for crying out loud. We helped select. We had this thing that could have been a big thing with the Tim Payne. Let's not overshadow that. It could have been the big thing. It seemed like the media wanted to be a big thing. They did not let it distract them. They did not give it unnecessary attention. They put Pat Cummins in here. And doesn't it seem like he's been the captain? Like he was born to be the Australia captain, for crying out loud. How do you like JL now? Because this guy, think about Cape Town. You know, I got to bring it in. Give me a little sledging there. Think about Cape Town not too long ago, SPD, not too long ago, right? Look at where everything was in shambles. You talk about the day cricket died in England. That could have been the day cricket died in Australia, for crying out loud. And there was a lot to overcome. They got shellacked by India, right? Look at them right now. They're the T20 Kings right now. Ashes. I mean, they were the one team, the first team out, if I would not believe, from the WTC. It's not like they finished 6th or 7th, for crying out loud. And now they just, I mean, the rest of the cricketing world's like, can Australia go away for like a decade? Is that asking for too much, for crying out loud? Is that asking for too much? JL, I've always been a fan of his, and I've been biting my tongue, right? But that's what I've learned. I absolutely love it. And let me just say one more thing. My man Gabe loves himself some Bukowski. Let me just say that. But Gabe, what do you think about JL now, baby?
You know, JL has bought himself at least another 2-3 years. Okay, you can't even
at the head table, pal. At the head table.
Bro, Australia fans, you got to deal with it, okay? It's going to be like 2024, World Cup. If they lose it and they don't defend their championship, and then if they lose the Ashes in that year. But yeah, he's bought himself at least until the next World Cup and the next, Ashes, before he's get under pressure again. I mean, you're right. And it's so frustrating because I do not think he is a good manager of men. Right, so
you're right. Because World Cups is a bad thing to win. You're right. That's a bad thing to win.
I mean, he's a good coach, right? But the way he's handled, like for instance, the whole Uzi situation, that's not called for. We saw on the show The Test. He's arguing with the media, kicking over trash cans. He's always like, he wears his emotions on the sleeve. He's like one of us. He wears his emotions on the sleeve. You can't do that when you're a coach. You got to be stoic, like Bill Belichick. Next question. You got to be stoic. But that's not who Joe is. He's a fiery guy, so it is what it is. You're right. He's bought himself a reprieve, all right? My man's not going anywhere. What I learned is that your boy Chris Silverwood, is under pressure. Now, I was listening to Jerry Kimber, and Jerry Kimber is like, listen, for everybody who's calling for Silverwood's job, and I respect Jerry Kimber. He's one of the best in the business. He knows what he's doing, all right? We're a couple clowns compared to Jerry Kimber. He's like, what could Silverwood do? All right, he inherited this team. He can't go out there and teach him how to bat. We'll go back and talk about that later on in our cricket convos. Look out for it. What's wrong with England? But he inherited this team. I do not blame him for that, all right, for the batting woes. What I do blame him for is playing 5 pace bowlers and no spinner in that second match. And then in the and playing Stuart Broad in that second match, when in the third match with Green Top, there's no Stuart Broad. What are you doing? All right. By the way, he does that during day and night test with that pink ball, Nick, because you remember he did the same thing versus India with the pink ball. Remember, there was no spinner. Like, what are you doing? I do not understand how this guy is coaching. Those are bad and poor decisions. All right. The whole Rory Burns situation. Rory Burns should have been. I get it. He's one of the highest scoring guys you've had, but he was in bad place. But you had no. Is there no one else? Is there no one else, really? Zach Crowley? Then you stick with Rory Burns because Zach Crowley's trash. Then you've got all this, on top of all this, Nick, you've got all this in the media getting out between Stuart Broad going after Joe Root, that, like, it don't look like the bowling was the one that let us down, cousin. First of all, Stuart Broad has some stones on him, bro. Stones, mud bulls. He's going after the batsman. Like, the bowling, we're doing our job. Like yeah, the nightmare Broad, bro. He gonna say what he gotta say. Like, look, but how do you let that get out? Silverwood, you're supposed to be controlling these men, controlling this locker room, and you got one of your best players going after your captain, bro. It's a debacle. Silverwood is now he's the new JL, bro. He's on the hot seat. If he survives this Ashes, I would be shocked. To your point, in the WTC championship, right? England wasn't no slouch. They were doing well, and that's without a job for Archer, right? But then they got the injury to I can't remember the name, the pace bowler that played. We saw him in the 100. It escapes me. Starts with a T. I can't remember his name. Mills. Yeah. Mills goes down. They get another injury, but it wasn't like, you know what I mean? Like England was supposed to win, right? They've got one of the best white ball teams in the world, and they lose. Now if you get whitewashed out the Ashes after losing, I mean, dude, he's got to be under an immense amount of pressure. And what I've learned is that the English media is way more patient than the Australian media, because man, if he was JL, if he was in Australia, he would have been sacked already. He would have, yeah, exactly. Bye.
I have to respectfully disagree with Jerry Kimber, and I'm not going to claim that I know as much as this guy does, because I don't. I really don't. I'm out of his league. I don't know, when was Silverwood hired? Do you know that? Because I don't know. But I do know the WTC was earlier in this summer, and England, like Australia, was right there. They had a chance. They had it for the taking, which means they have a pretty good test side. They have a pretty good test side, top 4 in the world. And you have this absolute debacle. You have teammates going after each other, to your point. You have guys that can't even last past 68 runs. You can't give him that kind of a pass. I don't know if that's Jerry Kimber's like cousin or something like that. You can't give that kind of a pass, because what do you do? Don't give me the excuses. I mean, what do you do in the moment? He inherited a pretty decent side, nationally ranked, and this is what they did in Australia. I mean, no one thought they were going to win this Ashes in Australia. No one even thought they were going to, retain or anything like that. But this has been ugly.
And Nick, it just got worse. It just got worse. Breaking news: as I'm looking up Silverwood, because I was trying to give you an answer, Silverwood's going to miss the 4th test because he just tested positive. I mean, can anything else go wrong for this guy? Can anything else go wrong for this guy?
And if they play well, then that's not going to look good for him.
But you got a team in shambles here. So yeah, if they play well, it doesn't look good for you. And if they play poorly, it's not looking good for you because you weren't there when your team needed you. I mean, I feel bad for him. Guys, I'm not trying to pile on him, but I just think right now he is a part of the problem and not a part of the solution. And that is tough. Now, we've had a lot of guys recently. Our Ireland versus United States got canceled due to COVID. But hopefully it wasn't a situation where he just put himself in that situation, because you've got to be aware of what's going on, man. I mean, I know the whole
he's been their head coach since 19. Just let you know, 2019. He's been there for a little while, for a few years.
So about 3 years. Yeah, he replaced Gary Cranston, right? Christian. So, man, Nick, I tell you what, that's my thoughts on the Ashes. Australia retaining the Ashes. I love it. CFA approved. We love it. All right. Australia T20 championships. Now maybe Australia could work on their ODI, try to get themselves, you know what I'm saying, ODI championship. And I think that's probably the most surprising thing to me, Nick. England just recently won in 2019 an ODI championship. Like, England, to your point, was one of the top teams going into the World Cup. Like, what has happened? Have you seen a team fall from grace this quickly ever? Like, I'm shocked. I am absolutely shocked. And England is synonymous with cricket, right? It's the Lords. It's the home of cricket. Like, it's not good for a game of cricket for England to be bad. Let's just be real, guys. It's not good. Something's got to happen. Something's got to happen.
Yeah, and he replaced Trevor Bayliss. I just looked it up. But, I mean, that's a great point about the ODI team, too. Let us know. We said it's going to be one of our shorter videos. We were wrong about that. Let us know what you think about our thoughts here. I mean, I'm England fans. I know you hate me to death. What else is new? But you've got to know that I'm speaking some truth. You've got to agree with a lot of it. Let me know what you agree. Let us know what you disagree with. Please teach us. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time.
That's 6 runs.